Welcome back to the Whatnots Reactor Core. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Ignacio Rojas. Ignacio,
Hey.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have the second half to talk about, 4, 5, and
Yep.
6. How excited are you to talk about this second half here?
Very excited, Kyle. Very excited.
Good. Because if you had said I'm not excited, I would kick you off and it'd just be me, and I'd be real sad. And
had I known, when I give another try, redo.
rewind, quick. Obi-Wan Kenobi, we have the finale to talk about and discuss and react to and review and all that good stuff. I'm really excited to talk about this one. I think last time we spoke, I was like, "Hey, this one has a lot of potential. If they stick the landing, this might be up there as one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media." And I think it almost did that. I think it stuck the landing, maybe not as high as I had hoped, but it was good. It was a solid show. I felt like. I had a blast watching this. I think this second half of the series had some great moments, some cool Easter eggs, and the finale, I think, was all emotional payoff and stuff like that. So I'm impressed with this one. So
yeah, for what a limited run Kenobi series could be, I think that this did a pretty good job with that. And yeah, I agree. The end of the series was, I was a bit surprised as to how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
how good they did it. They gave me things that I didn't expect them to do.
Sure, like, can you name one?
The final fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
Sure.
I mean, we already had a fight, so another fight was probable, maybe, but still having that one-on-one fight between them, and not only was it just them fighting, but it reminded me a lot of the episode 3 fight where they were kind of like at their top and they could go at each other, unlike the other time that we saw them fighting in this series where it was just Darth Vader going at him and Obi-Wan not being able to keep up. But then now they gave us a proper fight between these two, a proper rematch to the fight in episode 3, and it was great. It ended great, I thought.
Absolutely. Yeah, a note on the fighting. So I thought the first time that they met and Darth Vader was suspiciously weak and could not lift him over the fire and all of that stuff. I felt that fight was oddly reminiscent of the original trilogy, like the original fights where they weren't really doing acrobatic stuff. It was just the big
two dudes hitting each other with sticks.
Exactly. And it was real slow, and it wasn't really like this big flashy fight scene. And then I believe it's episode 5 when we get the flashback to when they were younger, in air quotes there. The fight was very much like the older prequels, especially those first 2. And yeah, this final duel we did feel like their final confrontation in that prequel trilogy, but with some new stuff, lots of rocks, lots of right. So I thought that was neat how like each fight paid like it was a tip of the hat to be like, hey, this fight's gonna be kind of like that one there. Which was neat, and I enjoyed that a lot. So let's start with episode 4. We're not gonna go super into detail with all of them, but this is the one where we first kind of meet the characters who are on the path, as it became called. This was like the underground railroad kind of, let's help the Jedi and important people escape the Empire. and it's just normal people helping out. And we see Leia get kidnapped,
Almost tortured.
right? Almost tortured in that device that we saw in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. They're like repurposing tortured device there, which is super scary. But yeah, I liked that one just for kind of the Star Wars nonsense that goes on in that. There's a Jedi sneaking into like an Empire place. That's not the right terminology for that. Yeah, he's in the Fortress Inquisitorius. But like that feels familiar to like Star Wars stuff, right?
Yeah.
They did. I did kind of have to roll my eyes when he entered it, like knocked out that stormtrooper and still didn't take the outfit. Like he's still just in his Jedi robes, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I liked that one there. Thoughts on episode 4?
I liked it.
Sure.
Before you described the episode, I was struggling to remember what episode it was. But yeah, now that I remember what episode it was, I did like it. I like seeing kind of the Empire base aesthetic and them having to think through it. And it was pretty wild. Again, they almost tortured Leia. They were so close to doing that.
I like the espionage.
Overall, I did like it, but it reminds me of in episode 4 when they themselves are in the Death Star, where it isn't. It is better as a part of a whole rather than an episode unto itself.
Sure.
Where you know how in Star Wars, in episode 4, they are in the Death Star. It isn't even the end because the end is the fight and them finding the rebels, and it isn't the beginning half either. Yeah. But it is kind of like in the 3rd, 4th of the movie, kind of like that. So sure. Yeah, kind of like that. Where that's why I was struggling to remember what the episode was, is because it is kind of like we're doing this to get to the next thing. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but still, it was a cool set piece, and also the Jedi graveyard, was it?
Yeah, like this, like a weird, like mausoleum memorial.
Very
thing.
Weird.
I don't even know really what it is exactly.
Yeah, it is weird that they focused on it, but didn't focus on anyone really.
So I think to the general viewer, yeah, none of those people are anyone of consequence. There is an Easter egg, that first person they show in there that's more like that, like dog-like character. He's a character from the Clone Wars cartoon, or at least is like the same species and looks oddly similar to a character in that cartoon who's in there for like an episode, and that's it.
Yeah, but it is kind of like in Guardians of the Galaxy, how you have the collector's room, and it is lots of Easter eggs in the background. But here, it felt like it was gonna be something bigger, play a bigger role. They were gonna do something with it, but it ended up being more of a shock value thing rather than it having a payoff.
Shock value, and I think it again for like the general person who is not super into like big Star Wars lore and all the finer details and stuff. Yeah, I think it also just doesn't pay off. Like there's it like he's not at that end fight being like, and what happened to like what's with that big room you got there?
Or him finding out that, I don't know, one of the Easter eggs that people thought that was there, it was Mace Windu. So had he sought by one of the graves that called him, and it being Mace Windu, and him seeing him, maybe then it would have
been neat. Yeah,
been neat and have a payoff, but nothing really came out of it.
I agree. The only thing I can think of that this might have something to do with it, we know that Anakin was tempted to go to the dark side in a multitude of ways, but one of the things was so that he could save Padme, so that he could, I guess, give her eternal life or resurrect her just in case, right? And then we also know that in the sequel trilogy that there's this whole like cloning thing going on. That cloning operation is also kind of a plot point in Star Wars: The Bad Batch. I think The Mandalorian is starting to dip its toes into that a little bit as well. I think they're starting to sow the seeds of this cloning operation that is the thing that saved the Emperor for that sequel trilogy. But
I could see it being that. Look, yeah, I could see it being that if they had shown, I don't know, Padme, her corpse there, so we know, oh, Vader is trying to resurrect her, or maybe another body for the Emperor.
Perfect it, right? Like he's not perfected it yet, so he's just taking samples and specimens of something else. But that's the thing, we don't know. Like that's just
that's
speculation.
You
there.
Trying to create a story out of such a little thing.
Yeah. So who knows what that was exactly. But then we can move on to episode 5. I also have to kind of refresh my memory on what this one is here. But this is the one that we get the flashback. Oh yeah, so I liked number 5 here. I really liked this one a lot, because it's also kind of one of the points that is the start of the rebellion. They've gotten Leia back, but now that they know that Reva is after them and Darth Vader will be there shortly after. And they're just trying to survive and fight. And this is also where we get the revelation, which we kind of knew, we kind of guessed it at the start, that Reva was a youngling. It looked like she was stabbed when she was a youngling too, but she didn't die and then hit among the bodies.
That was kind of weird. She was straight up face to face with Anakin, who was killing everyone, and somehow she survived.
Little strange, but we've seen people survive worse. We've seen Darth Maul get chopped in half and survive. Right? We've seen now the Grand Inquisitor, right, get stabbed in the stomach and survive. So there seems to be a theme here. If you get a stomach injury in Star Wars, you're okay.
Yeah.
Right. But I really liked this one. I thought that one had a lot of really great emotional moments. I did like Reva's backstory once they confirmed it. That she is trying to infiltrate and trying to get close to Vader so that she can get her revenge on him. And that culminates in a fight scene at the end, which I thought was fucking awesome. Vader is doing this like real zen, like not even fighting with his lightsaber, just small hand movements, and he's rocking her shit. He's killing it. And then it's like right after or right before that is when he stops the ship and pulls it down and tears it open. That's the Vader that we're scared of, right? Like that was incredible to see, and very much so does contradict that like I can't lift him over this fire. What is that? I have the black lung, pops. Right? Like,
yeah.
It just I know last time we talked, I was trying to be like, well, maybe this is a little sore from this thing. Maybe it's I don't know. Yeah, no. Looking
maybe
back,
there was a little bit of sand there. He didn't want to touch the sand.
Right, yeah. Looking back, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't he just like force choke him and lift them up? And it makes no sense. I think what was neat to me was to see him stop the ship.
That was crazy.
He's like, we've seen that happen in Star Wars before, but they struggle. They're sitting there like, he's just sitting there like, boom, down. No.
The thing is, and why I love the show so much is that Vader is menacing. If you are up against him, you're dead. There's no way out. You have that scene in Rogue One, But the thing is that we haven't really seen him doing many things to actually show you that he is to be feared. Again, we have seen the original trilogy, due to the time it was made, resources they had, they couldn't really show that much with Vader. But then ever since that, we've seen him in...
he's still considered like one of the best villains of all time, right?
And that's mostly because of his presence.
Sure.
The presence, his voice, the whole attire and all that. But now, due to the times we have seen him, of course, in, again, Rogue One, him decimate that whole room of rebels. But then now with Kenobi, we can actually see him in the fight, how he dominates the fight. And then, that scene of him grabbing the ship with just one hand. That's one of my favorite things of the show, is that we can actually see Vader do things. And then going back again to the fight that we got in episode 3, I think it was, and episode 3 of the show.
Sure, yeah.
And then the last episode, when we can actually see him fight someone.
Yep. Indeed. Now, let me ask you this. One of the things that you expressed that you wanted more of in this second half was more Hayden Christensen. How do you feel about the amount of Hayden Christensen we got?
Technically, we got more.
We did.
We did get more.
We did.
Yeah. I mean, with it being already Vader, there aren't many instances where you can actually use Hayden Christensen. Now we know that he wasn't even using the suit. He wasn't even in the suit. Those were stunt doubles.
Oh, really?
So, yep. He wasn't in the suit. So, I wanted them to justify them having Hayden there. And again, going back to episode 5 and episode 6, we got very good things with him. We got the flashback. And then in episode 6, we get him, the mask torn, and him actually talking through what I didn't know was supposed to be a voice modulator. I always thought, how is it that it goes from Anakin to then to Jones? And I did like them actually showing you, but showing, listening to it, how he is, the two voices, Hayden and the voice modulator being James Earl Jones.
That was brilliant. I loved that a lot.
It was great. But again, I wish we could have more Hayden. But again, to do that, you would have had to have flashbacks mostly, because I don't think you can have much of Vader without the mask.
Helmet off.
Seeing as he can...
you could have it off.
I mean,
like they take his helmet off in the original trilogy at the end.
Yeah, but he cannot just be out and about just maskless. Imagine him fighting without the mask.
Right.
Him talking to people without the mask.
I mean, at least like when he's on his ship or something, right? Like give him some things there. But yeah, I think I have to agree. While I was disappointed with the amount of Hayden Christensen that we got, I really enjoyed that flashback. I thought he looked really good for what it was. And I think they did the character justice. Like I liked. I think all of the stuff that they did as a whole was great for Vader. I liked it a lot, so I'm satisfied. And we got some really freaking cool Darth Vader scenes, and I just the show is good. I just wish there was a little bit more of him. He was so much in the marketing, like Hayden is back, he's gonna be here, and then it was like he was here for like a day and did his stuff and then left.
Yeah.
So
while I don't think that making another season of Obi-Wan makes much sense,
interesting.
I think that I would love to see another series and have Vader in it.
Sure,
I don't know if it is a Vader-centric show or just, I don't know, someone else fighting Vader.
Yeah, I do know that there are some pretty well-regarded Vader comics.
That's why I think that they could do a Vader show.
Yeah, I don't think they would really adapt them since the comics are also considered canon in with all of the stuff here. But yeah, it's a fairly recent run of just Darth Vader comics. I have not read them, but I've heard really, really good things about them. But yeah, like I think this series has definitely opened up the possibilities, for more Vader or more Reva or more of the path. I liked that one character Roken. I like, he was kind of neat. I mean, they didn't give him too much to do in this, but he had that like wink and a nod line of just like, I'm just getting started.
I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him or even him at the path a show, considering what they've been doing with the Marvel side, how they have an Echo show and a Agatha Harkness show.
Yep,
I could see
I could also see him returning in Andor as that one takes place like a year or two later, and it's about that Hetty being radicalized and the rebellion forming and all that stuff. So that'd be an interesting place to see him again. One thing I wanted to mention is that as much as I liked Leia in this series, last time we spoke, I was like, I kind of hope they just drop her off and be on their way. But no, they stuck it out. They went with the whole lone wolf and cub thing the entire way, which I also don't mind because that's one of my favorite tropes in entertainment. And I think they did a great job with it. And I think by the end of the show, when he has to say goodbye to her, I was sitting there like, oh my God, this is so good. I love it. I love them. I'm crying. And yeah, like I don't feel like I have very many bad things to say about the show, except like, well, they didn't really do anything with that like Jedi-ish graveyard. Vader in that one thing was kind of strange that he wasn't powerful enough. Also, I wished we would have gotten more of Reva.
Letting Reva live, considering minutes ago you already said you already had the Grand Inquisitor having survived last time, and now you're making the mistake that Reva made by not killing her.
Yeah, I would like to see her return in some show as well. I would like to see her be the one to wipe out the Inquisitors. I think that'd be rad. Because we know that by time the original trilogy starts, that the Inquisitors aren't around. So they're only there for the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
So something happened to them. It'd be neat to see her because Moses Ingram, who played her, was stellar. So yeah, I had a blast watching this, I think the show is very, very good. Maybe it didn't make it's up there, but I don't know if I'd be like, this is my favorite, but it is up there with like, hey, hell yeah, this is really good. Watch this one.
Yeah. And also, me being a fan of your prequel trilogy, I did love going back to Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, and for the little that we had him, Hayden Christensen's Anakin, I did love that. I enjoyed my time with the show, and man, I just want more Vader. The final scene with Vader, him sitting at this throne in Mustafar. Oh, that was such a great shot
there. Yeah, good stuff.
That was a great shot.
Indeed.
I want more from him.
It seems like Disney is implying that there will be a season 2, or they are looking into making a season 2 if this continues to do well. Because they were, I mean, this was originally announced as a movie, was turned into a series, and they implied that, or they said like, hey, this is just a mini series kind of thing. But now they're kind of changing their wording to being like, oh, this was the season finale.
Kind of like with Moon Knight.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there's a possibility that we will get a season 2. If they do a season 2, which I know you expressed you're not really interested in, but if they do, what would you want out of a season 2?
The thing is that, like it or not, it still has to fall into canon. Mm-hmm. So there already isn't that much that they could do. I wonder if there's much of a space to have Obi-Wan go up against Vader again. And if not, I wonder what Obi-Wan could be doing in the time in between this show and then A New Hope.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they could do with another season.
I think they set the show up pretty well for a season 2. He's going off with the ghost of Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
he now has his connection to the Force back. Yeah. Like I think we were kind of expecting the end of this to see Kenobi just this broken kind of old man, but he seems like he's back in the saddle. He's like, all right, let's go, let's do some stuff, which is an interesting place to leave the show off. And then the next time we see him a decade later is just like, oh boy, what happened to you? So I could see him kind of tying up some loose ends with Maul if they do something with that, because he's,
I don't know, who knows what
he's
Maul
still
is
around.
up to now. Because you have I know that was Clone Wars had him, but then also Solo had him, and then I don't know whatever else he has popped up. So I don't know.
He was in Rebels too.
Also, wasn't Obi-Wan in Rebels too?
He probably made an appearance. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I know I've seen.
I know I've seen
the scene of him, because I know that it is Rebels, because I know it's him, old gray hair, and then the very thin lightsaber. Yeah. So I know I've seen him pop up on Rebels.
Yeah. Yes, I mean that there's still lots of stuff that he could do out there. He could go catch up with Ahsoka. He could go, I don't know. But yeah, like I think we were looking for that thing of like, what is the thing that gets him to just retreat into that cave and like just be like, well, that's it.
Man, for as much as I love an interconnected universe, Star Wars has it so hard, so complicated. How you have first of all, they have so many eras, so many specific eras that they have, but specifically here they have this 18-year gap, if I'm not mistaken. But then they have it with the video games, with the movies, with the shows, with the comics, and then you have characters popping up here and here, and then other characters here and here, and then if you try to jam something in there, you have to see how it connects and how it doesn't mess up the other things, and it complicates things a little bit.
It's very complicated. I mean, they had to do the whole thing of like, okay, now Leia, you can't contact me, right? Like you have to be like, we don't know each other from here on out. And which is an interesting thing, because I mean it like I was watching the kind of honey review of this, and they were saying that on there, how they like go right up to the line of like, are they gonna change something? This isn't really adding. Oh nope. Okay, they fixed it. They stopped. But yeah, and I had a blast with this. I liked that this felt much stronger compared to the book of Boba Fett, which I think at the end of the day was kind of a disappointment for how that went, because the best moments of that was when they did all the stuff with the Mandalorian instead. So I don't know, but I am glad they made this. I was satisfied. Good, solid show.
Me too.
Good stuff. Final word on Kenobi?
I really enjoyed Vader there, and I didn't think that they would do it, but they got Liam Neeson.
They sure did. Ignacio, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojasb. That's IGNACIOROJASB.
You guys can find me at Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at The Whatnots, we are at The Whatnots on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. We are still doing our weekly reactions to Ms. Marvel. So be sure to be on the lookout for all of that. And I think the next Star Wars show that's happening later this summer, I believe, is Andor. So be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.